When I understand and lean into embodying more authentic presence as the divine mirror that I am, embodying more deeper potential, deeper creative energy, deeper shifts into more of myself, because that is really what you're doing here. And it's okay for others to leave. It's okay for others to make the choice that this gift of free will that they were given, to go elsewhere. It doesn't mean you aren't loved. It doesn't mean you are alone. It doesn't mean that you will be separate. If anything, it actually gives you back a deeper understanding that those things were never able to be taken away. Welcome to the Divine Mirror, where we dive deeply into the journey of discovering your unique inner medicine. I'm your host, Harrison, and here we explore how each of us can become a force of healing and transformation simply by showing up authentically. Join me as we uncover the steps needed to be the cure that is you, and the magic of being a true divine mirror for others. Let's step into this journey together. Your inner magical medicine awaits. Welcome back, powerful hearts, to the Divine Mirror and episode 7 today of this journey, this coming home to the light that you are, the power that you are, the medicine that you are as a spiritual, loving reflector in the world. Today's episode is embodying authentic presence. Really starting to tune in today with the focus of aligning your actions and intentional outward energy with your true self, the divine mirror, to create even more authentic presence, right? Stepping forward within the external world with presence-filled embodiment. So what does all that mean? We're going to talk about it today and go deeper on this journey that we're all on, this divine mirror journey. And it's going to be a lot about really connecting into deeper expressions of this presence that you are. It's one thing, we've talked last episode about holding space. We've talked about really starting to dismantle limiting beliefs. We've talked about showing up for devotional services, self-acceptance for yourself. All of this building up to now being more of this presence in your actions in the external world. And this can be very scary for people, right? This can lead to a lot of fears coming up. And I really want to go into some of those fears, some solutions, and again, some beautiful teachings around all of this today. All right, so I'm going to start today with another little recap of the previous episode. If you tuned in, episode 6, we talked about holding space for others as the mirror that you are to support, nourish, and love. We talked about, in that holding of space, the role of silence, holding compassion without attachment, the key to breath and self-regulation, asking permission, and really learning to just listen, right, and not solve problems. Energetic hygiene, cleansing, connecting to spiritual tools and entities. And I gave a lot of homework around not just practicing that holding of space, but asking for specific guidance to come through, practicing that breath, and implementing boundaries and using energetic cleansing. So if you have not shared the homework and how all that went, you still can reach out to me on social media. You'll see some links down the bottom of on the show description of this episode, and I'd love to hear how all of that went. All right, so today I'm really honored to do something a little bit different. I want to share a poem that is the same as every episode that I start with. But today's episode, I'm going to start with a poem from a loving new mentor that I have in my life. And, Cassandra Nostalgia is her name, and really she shows up in this world in a very unique way. I'll put her social media links in the show notes description of this episode. But today I'm reading some of Cassandra's beautiful writings. And this writing, this eloquent journey that I'm about to share with you came into my life at a very interesting time, and it connects today with the theme of what I am teaching and helping you to see. So this creative piece of writing is called Depression, Deep Rest from the Disease of Pretending. Depression is not defeat, it's an unraveling, a sacred descent, a pilgrimage to the depths where truth has been waiting, patient and still. It's a strike, a rebellion of the soul against the counterfeit life you've been wearing like a second skin. Depression doesn't ask politely. It drags you into the abyss and whispers, enough. Enough of the masquerade, enough of the persona stitched together by sharp threads of expectation. Lay it down, it says. Lay down the striving, the proving, and the desperate contortion into something digestible. Lay down the version of yourself molded to fit into the spaces that never deserved you. It isn't a flaw in the system, it's the system breaking down because it was never built for you. Deep rest, not punishment, but permission. A rebellion against the lies that have shackled you to an identity too small for your spirit. A disassembling of the masks you've worn so long, you've forgotten your own face. It's not comfortable. The masks don't fall, they crack, crumble, and slice on their way down. The weight of the world doesn't dissolve gently. It collapses violently, leaving you hollow and trembling. In that trembling, in that emptiness that remains, comes the first true question. Who were you before they told you who to be? It doesn't destroy you. It destroys what's false. It excavates, peels back, and demands a death, not of you, but of illusions. Only in the void can the truth emerge. So if this piece of writing hits you as deeply as it hits me, you can see a couple of things. Firstly, you can see and feel the alignment with today's theme, right? This understanding of what is needed to start to embody more your authentic presence, or more of this magic and medicine that reflects through the divine mirror that is you. And secondly, you can start to see a deep truth that is given to us in order for us to understand what is needed to go deeper into authenticity, what is needed to go deeper into more of the presence that is already waiting. And that truth is the role of things like depression, is the role of the spectrum of emotionality, sensitivity, vulnerability, feeling sensations that is within you, right? In episode 3, I talked about and shared one of my poems, the River of Emotion. And I talked about, that episode's theme was cultivating self-acceptance and devotion. And I shared with you the role of being the observer, the watcher of these emotional states, these feeling states that come through us. And in the feeling state that one would label as depression, we are able to see what is actually there, right? See the beautiful communication and divine nudges from our soul in the end of where is authenticity for us, because it's not a made up state. It's not a guessing game. It may feel like that from time to time. And I know that I have often come into this state, right? I have often come into this state of, okay, what is the actual path here? What step can I take towards deeper authentic expression? And I'm often questioning that, as I'm sure you are if you're listening to this. But it's not a guess. It's not a answer that we need to reclaim. It's already there. And often it comes up, not just in depression, but again in the spectrum of heavy emotions and density that we all get to experience and feel. So this beautiful piece of creative writing that Cassandra shared really hit that note for me, and I hope it did for you as well. And it begins really this deep dive that I want to share with you today around authentic expression, embodiment of authentic expression, and learning to take actions from this place, because that is really what we want to do. Yes, there first must be a feminine feeling, a feminine acknowledgement that in order to heal, we must feel, right? In order to take masculine, authentic action, most of the time, there first must be feminine stillness, feminine void, right? That beautiful last sentence of Cassandra's writing, only in the void can the truth emerge, right? That void often we find our way back to through the feminine feeling, the feminine stillness, the feminine beingness. And once we are there, it's not the end of the story. Once we are there, we then get the opportunity to make a choice to embody more of what we have always yearned to be, make a choice to embody more of this magic filled, this medicine filled presence that we get to reflect out into the world as the divine mirror that we are. So, how can we learn to be with these densities, these dense states, depression, anxiousness, deep despair, deep sadness, deep yearning, and not just be with them, but take action from the guidance that they give? And it's here I want to share another understanding that I have around the soul's journey, the soul that you are, right? The soul that is in this earth school going through a lot of these different kinds of states. And it's my belief that there is a particular way in which the soul moves, and this is not linear. This is often cyclical, and we can tune into where we are along these stages. And this imagery, this metaphor I'm going to share here in a moment, I think really highlights a lot of these simplistic stages we can learn to understand and take action from. So I'm going to use the analogy, the metaphor, the image of a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, and the puzzle pieces. And there are 3 stages of the soul's journey symbolized through the puzzle piece. The first stage of the soul's journey is the puzzle piece on the outside, the separate piece, the puzzle piece that has identified as being separate from the whole, that feels and thinks that maybe there is not a wholeness, maybe there is only randomness, maybe there is not a higher power or a bigger entity, a higher self and selves that I am intrinsically connected to. I am on the outside and feeling alone, feeling isolated and disconnected. Stage 2 of this puzzle piece journey is what I would call the connected allness, the piece that remembers that it was always a part of a bigger picture, always a part of a bigger connected allness. The puzzle piece fits back in to the bigger picture, the bigger puzzle jigsaw design, right? And feels it and acknowledges it and has an awareness of the allness that it always was, the allness that it was always a part of. But then a third stage comes up as a choice that we get to embody. A third stage comes up that we get to lean into. And it is the puzzle piece that has connected back to the allness and now can acknowledge that even though they are intrinsically a part of the complete picture, what they also start to see is that that puzzle piece that they are has a unique outline, has a unique representation within the allness. This is the connected, unique piece part of this stage, the stage where the puzzle piece can see that once connected to the allness, it can decide to play a unique role. It can decide to not just play a unique role, but embody a magical presence that it is that will add to the allness as the unique part that it is, will add to the fullness as the unique piece that it is. So, all of this to say that this is really what the authentic path can be for us. This is what embodying authentic presence can be for us, not just a coming home to what we've always been, as in my terminology, the divine mirror, but coming home as the unique divine mirror that can take inspired action that adds to the whole, stepping into more of what you are and creating magic, sharing medicine that will always give more back to the allness, will always, if it is ultimately connected to authenticity and alignment, will help the allness evolve and expand. In a lot of the Vedic teachings that I've spent a bit of time studying myself, there is a term that is used called charm, that if you can learn to tune in to the presence inside of you, there is a charming choice that we all get to feel and tune into in any given moment. And that charming choice is the universe, the allness, the collective consciousness that we are wanting to evolve, wanting to expand, wanting to learn. And we get to make that choice uniquely. So let's go deeper. How can we step into more of this? How can we tune into what these choices are? Well, often for me, this authentic choice, this charming choice comes through vulnerability. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. So one way that we can step forward embodying our authentic presence is not just looking for places in our reality where we feel sensitive, vulnerable, emotional, but also understanding that not everything will be accepted by others. What do I mean by that? Perfectionism comes to mind in this point, right? Perfectionism. We don't take choices. We fear stepping into authentic presence because we fall under the illusion that we have to be perfect in the choices that we make. And I'm here to tell you that it is in your imperfection that perfection is found. It is in your beautiful vulnerability and the pieces of you that you may deem as broken or not enough or too much. Those are often the steps where true authenticity and realness and this presence that we've been speaking about can shine through the wound, shine through the heart that was never broken. The illusion of pain that you think is too much is, as Joseph Campbell says, the deepest cave that we fear to enter holds the beauty of the treasure that we seek. And we can make that choice by looking at the vulnerabilities in our life and really seeing that all these parts of us, they play a role, right? And I'll shift here a little bit, step back from the too much of the deepness I'll get into, but let's just go a layer a bit higher, but still deep, still in this place, right? All of these, let's label them not enough pieces or shadowy pieces or maybe too vulnerable, too sensitive pieces of us that maybe we are playing, right? Because all of these, at the end of the day, when we step into different contexts, we are playing different roles, right? Different parts of us will come up in different environments. Different parts of us will come up in when we're at work, when we're with family, when we're with friends, when we're with, again, different environments. And all of these parts deserve to be there. Maybe some of them feel a bit vulnerable to be in other contexts. Maybe some of them we feel comfortable, but they're very limiting in other certain ways. All of them are roles that we're playing or masks that we're wearing. But when we're asking the deeper question of how we show up in more authentic presence, we're not here to pretend that these masks and these roles that we're playing do not exist. What we are here to do is to empower them. It's to not just accept them. And we talked about this in episode 2, right? Devotional self-acceptance. We're not just here to accept them, but we're here to infuse them with our authentic presence. We're here to infuse them with this presence of love that we are. Right? This is, if you've read my book, this is the difference between unhealthy and healthy ego. Right? The ego is not, we're not here to push and destroy the ego. We're here to distinguish whether we are in unhealthy ego, i.e., getting lost and identified by these shadows, by these wounds, or really seeing these shadows, seeing these wounds, holding them in love, and channeling light through them. Seeing and creating space to support these wounds, these masks, these roles that we play, and channeling our divine magic through them. And this all begins with awareness, with acceptance, and choosing to embody presence rather than embodying pain, rather than embodying fear, rather than embodying separation. And at first, for a lot of us, this will feel uncomfortable, right? We'll feel discomfort in our body when we choose to channel our presence through these shadowy parts, these painful parts, these fearful parts, because they're not ready, right? They're not ready to receive the love. They're not ready to shift out of their comfort zone. They're not ready to feel safe again. And we'll feel it in our body, right? Our body keeps score. Our body tells the story of our lives. And for a lot of us, myself included, we still have unresolved fears and pains and trust issues and safety issues and all of it. But that's okay. It doesn't mean you still cannot step forward. It doesn't mean you still cannot decide in every moment to choose love and to choose your more awakened and the version of you wish to become, and step forward anyway. Step forward with the intention to embody the fullness of you, of what you are, rather than the separate pieces of you. Okay, and I'll share here a specific fear that a lot of us have when we take this step, a specific shadow, a specific pain, a specific example. So when we start to make this intention of embodying authentic presence and really coming to face with a lot of these parts of ourselves that we have got lost in, one of the most common parts and fears associated with is when we fear that when we embody more presence, embody more love, potential, we fear that in doing so, we'll leave other people behind. We fear that in doing so, we will leave family, friends, loved ones, maybe people that have looked up to us for support in the past. We will not just leave them behind, but they will hold judgment. They will hold resentment. They will see us in a negative light. And we fear this, right? Because we're a big part of us is very animalistic. We don't want to be pushed out of the tribe. We don't want to be left alone. We don't want to be separated. So what is the solution here? Well, I'll give 3 solutions to this specific fear. Firstly, obviously self-acceptance and self-love, right? We're aware of it. We be with it. We hold the child of this part that is us. But let's go deeper. I like to share a train analogy when it comes to others outside of us, especially when we're starting to embody more presence in our lives and we're really stepping into more potential. We're stepping into more higher vibrations and higher levels of what we are. And the train analogy is the understanding that, like the train or the train conductor, your train is moving down the railways of your life. Your train is moving down the path and the journey of your life. And that train is going to stop at a lot of different destinations. And at those destinations, people will get on. Passengers will decide to journey with you. Some of these passengers will be family members. Some of these passengers will be friends and people that have become close that you have maybe given love to and supported in some way. But as that train journeys along the track of your life, you will continue to make stops. You will continue to arrive at new and far off destinations. And each of those destinations will hold choices for each of the people on your journey. And those choices are not your responsibility. Those choices are not your place to add power. What you must continue to do is place your responsibility on the track and the journey that you are taking and give yourself permission to allow them the choice to either get off at different destinations or stay with you to continue along your journey. And it's in this analogy and this teaching that I find great solace when I understand and lean into embodying more authentic presence as the divine mirror that I am, embodying more deeper potential, deeper creative energy, deeper shifts into more of myself, because that is really what you're doing here. And it's okay for others to leave. It's okay for others to make the choice that this gift of free will that they were given to go elsewhere. It doesn't mean you aren't loved. It doesn't mean you are alone. It doesn't mean that you will be separate. If anything, it actually gives you back a deeper understanding that those things were never able to be taken away. So I hope that really supports you. And I hope that just me really shining my presence, my authentic self onto that specific fear can really help you to see what this journey looks like. Right. And there will be other fears, of course, and there's many more. And maybe this week, as you do some of the homework I'm about to share with you, some more will come up. But there's often a very similar way to approach them. Okay, so I want to give some homework now connected to all of this. And the first piece of homework that I want you to practice is I want you to start going into all these different contexts like you would normally in your life, work, family life, around friends. And I want you to start bringing awareness to the different masks, the different parts of our ego that step forward in these different contexts. And just bring awareness. Because if we can bring awareness to these masks and these ego aspects, then ultimately we can choose what we are channeling through those masks. So this week, I want you to apply that awareness to those different contexts and masks. I also want you to do, and this is homework number 2, I want you to do a practice of really feeling into this deeper energetic presence, authentic presence that is you. And there are a few different ways to do this. The most easiest way that I practice often is going into meditation, closing your eyes, and starting to feel the energy that exists in your hands. What I do is I hold my hands up in meditation, closing my eyes, and I tune in and sense the energetic outline or the energetic sensation of my hands in space. And we can all do this, but they're just floating there. They're seemingly not attached to anything, but we can connect to the energy within the hands themselves. So start to do this with your hands. And what you can expand into is you can start to connect to that authentic presence, that awareness, that energetic body within your whole being and tap into it willingly. And then finally, last piece of homework here around embodying authentic presence is I want you to actively bring awareness and you might need to set an intention around this, actively bring awareness to balancing your feminine and masculine parts, your feminine and masculine energy. And what do I mean by this? We all have this feminine and masculine energetic representation in a different spectrum in our lives. And we can all learn to balance it in certain unique ways. But as always, it first must begin with awareness and then setting an intention of how we want to shift that. So I want you to practice active feminine and masculine awareness and active feminine and masculine balance. and let me know how that goes. So I'll give just one quick example before I let you go. Often it might mean setting healthy boundaries, right? Taking more masculine action. Often it might mean making more space in your life for stillness, for beingness, for unbound play. Right? These are two very specific examples, but if we set the intention to implement those things, then the spectrum of the energy that we start to become aware around what is needed and what is not. All right, big episode today. We went to some deep spaces as we would with this episode. I hope it hits your heart. Please let me know how the homework items go. A quick little sneak peek of next episode, episode 8 along this Divine Mirror journey, is overcoming the fear of visibility. We hit on it a little bit today of standing in your authentic presence among others, but I want to now really go into this more specifically. What does it mean for social media? What does it mean for your business? What does it mean for if you want to start being this divine mirror to help others specifically on their healing journey? How do we overcome the fear of visibility, and how do we address more of these more specific fears around being seen, heard in our truth, in our medicine, in our magic? So I can't wait to share all that with you. But until next time, keep shining that beautiful light, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Divine Mirror. Remember that this journey of unlocking your inner medicine doesn't have to be done alone. If you're ready for personalized guidance, reach out to me for one-on-one coaching, and let's walk home along this path together. I'd love for you to share also this episode with friends and loved ones who might also find inspiration along this journey. And don't forget to connect with me on social media to share your reflections and insights and the outcomes of your homework from each episode. I can't wait to hear how your inner transformation unfolds. And until next time, keep shining and embracing that beautiful mirror within you.